let's start because there were rumors of City revival, sort of little teeny tiny rumors, and then this kind of shuts the door on it as well. I mean, I think psychologically,
Yeah.
it's not so much a chance is created and whatever, but 5-1's heavy.
Yeah, it is a humiliation, really. There's no other ways, Gab, to put it. And the first half was not too bad, to be fair, especially considering the fact that they conceded a goal so early on a massive mistake. To come back and into the game in a way, and to then equalize at the start of the second half, but then to collapse in the way they did after that goal they scored, which, by the way, is the only shot they had in the whole of the second half. Not just on target, in everything, just one shot. It was ridiculous how bad they were, how lacking everything. They really were. They just had no fight in them. They had no control. There was just nothing in that second half, which is really, really worrying, I think.
See, I think you hit the nail on the head there, right? And I was talking about performance as opposed to results. We can look at the 5-1 and it's a big score line, fine. But ultimately those chances or those goals that came in the second half, the Nwaneri one was in garbage time and it was an unbelievable individual effort. You can't legislate against that. Partey as well. With all due respect, the ball could have probably gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Like even if Arsenal had won 2-1, let's say, that one shot on goal in the second half is a thing that would keep you up at night if you're Pep Guardiola, where you would ask, what is going on?
Yeah. And I think because we said he has looked lost a lot of this season, to be fair, especially since the collapse. I thought he looked lost yesterday, but on top of it, the players really didn't help him either. And I know he was probably short of options, kind of, on the bench because the injured players are coming back. But he's right to say, like, when you give up all that control, when you make the mistakes that they made, when you play that way they play with the lack of intensity that they had in that second half, you just, whoever you are, whatever level you play, you just can't win anything. You can't do, and especially against a team like Arsenal who were really on it, who had everything going their way. Pretty much every flick was going their way, every deflection was going their way. And I think for me, the 1 year ago, you're right. It's in at the time it's 93rd minute.
Ridiculous goal.
True,
Like,
because
so good.
It's 36 passes. Every Arsenal player touches the ball. It's 2 minutes of possession with City not even getting close to the ball, and that shows. I know the game is over already. They've lost, and they're probably a bit. Their minds are gone. Everything, but still, you let the opposition humiliate you like that for 2 minutes. You don't touch the ball. You run after the ball everywhere, and you end up by conceding another goal. It's just not acceptable, I think.
I think it's easy to go and talk about players like Akanji, like Ortega. Of course, he was in goal for Ederson, who was a late scratch in this game. But I also think you pay your big players more money because they're supposed to produce more. And I thought Foden and Bernardo Silva, to me, were the two most disappointing because in this context, or with De Bruyne apparently incapable of starting, those two guys are the guys you're supposed to look to for leadership in this context. And I thought Foden was a ghost in this game.
He was, completely.
And Bernardo Silva overrun left and right continuously.
Yeah, I mean, for Bernardo, his legs are gone. We've said that many times on the show before through the whole season. And when you play him, so the players didn't help Pep. I don't think Pep is helping the players because to play Bernardo in that position in a game like this, when Partey is in really good form, Rice was, for me, the man of the match in this game. Then you know that there's a lot of chances that Bernardo is going to be outrun and he's going to be outplayed because he just can't keep up anymore. And then you put him in that position and you know he's going to struggle. And what happens?
And who's the alternative to Bernardo Silva?
Yeah, I know, because Gundogan would have been the same.
Exactly.
But Pep Guardiola has paid a lot of money to find solutions, and this season he has never found any solutions.
That's rough. I want to touch upon Miles Lewis-Skelly and this business. I don't have a problem with the aggro back and forth.
Yeah.
I am a little bit old school about the rookie versus the veteran, mocking the veteran like this. You have no issue with this.
No, it's different. Mikel Arteta is like you, and I think there will be a lot of people like you, which I understand. I'm like, this is all good. You give it, you take it. You know, like I'm from Paris, we do it every time, everywhere, all the time, whether you were the winner or the loser, whether you win a lot or you've won a lot, whether you're young or old, this is what you do. You give it
taunt
strong.
Your opponent.
But
all right. Just be careful because somebody else may be less accommodating next time around. All right, Jules, I'm going to get to City because they've got a really rough period coming up. But I think we need to celebrate Arsenal a little bit more at this stage. Because let's not forget, there's no Bukayo Saka. Right?
Yeah.
What has been my criticism of Arsenal over and over again? They either score on set pieces or through the Odegaard Saka chain.
Yeah.
Hey, look, this time they found the plan C.
Yeah.
And it involved a lot of pressing, especially early on. It's not just the first goal, but it's also the chances that they didn't convert. And they looked like, even in the first half, where it was a lot more back and forth, but they were rattling this back four. And I go back to Kai Havertz, the best on earth. I think Arsenal really dodged a bullet in not signing Ollie Watkins. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't have signed somebody else.
Yeah, because they're short in bodies for sure.
They're short in bodies.
Yeah.
This guy is not a cyborg. He just plays that way. He's played almost every minute of almost every game this season. And should something happen to him, you are up Spit Creek without a paddle. Like you're in serious, like in terms of like the next injury to screw Arsenal up of the players who are out there. So excluding Saka, it's Saliba and it's him. Maybe even more than Odegaard, because you can replace with Odegaard with somebody worse than him. You cannot replace Kai Havertz.
No, you're right. You're right, and we understand the debate, and you and I agree. We've discussed a lot, not just because we like Kai Havertz, but also because
you know what? We like Kai Havertz. As a footballer, I appreciate him. As a person, he looks like something that rhymes with trick and begins with a P. And he plays nasty. He sometimes plays dirty. He's not. I'm sure he's a lovely person. I have not spent enough time with him to be able to judge that. But it's not like I like him because I think he's handsome or lovely. No.
I mean, you like.
He does not seem like a lovely person. But I would want him on my team every day of the week, as long as there's other people scoring goals.
Yeah, he's a lovely person as well. And yes, there's that chance he misses yesterday, halfway through the first half, where he's on his own in front of goal, and really he should score. I know that. And he has too much time to think. And when he has too much time to think, I think that's to his own detriment. And you see with the goal that he ends up scoring later in the game, where there's not time to think, then he's clinical. It's fine. He's just not built like that, I think, and he plays in a position that is, again, it's not really his position. And people who want the number 9 at Arsenal, who want Ollie Watkins or Gyökeres or Osimhen, whoever you want, good. But those people don't also do the rest of the work that Kai Havertz is doing in terms of, well, with the ball already to start with, because he's such a smart player and high football IQ he has. But all the work rate, all the work that he does, the work rate that he puts in every game, there's that chance for Martinelli in the second half where he's the one recovering the ball halfway through his own half, and he's there as well on the counter-attack in case the ball would have bounced off Ortega into his feet. So it's just, I think, is amazing to have as a pressing machine, counter-pressing machine, everything. The leadership in that team is great. And it seems that even Arsenal fans, or some of them, don't see it. And I just don't understand, Gabby, because you might want somebody more clinical, like a Haaland type of number 9. Okay, but that will take a lot. A guy like that would not have a lot of what Havertz brings to this team. And I think that would be a problem for Arsenal.
Look, in the end, football's a team game, right? So it matters if Arsenal struggle to score goals overall.
Yeah,
you have to look at the total number of goals that they score. And I think it has been a little bit of an issue, which is why they're not challenging Liverpool for the title this season. Part of the reason why. But then again, when everybody's fit, Odegaard can score goals. Saka can score goals. Yeah. Martinelli has scored goals in the past.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What I do wonder about, and I go back to this, I think they would really benefit from having another center forward there. Just to give him a break, to give it something different. Maybe in certain situations you play with him, especially with Gabriel Jesus, who, not exactly a goal machine, but with him being out,
absolutely,
you really are short there. We're recording this on Monday morning. The transfer window is still open. Arsenal tend not to do things quietly because, you can just go to the Daily Ornstein and generally get a preview of what's happening. It seems like, though, there's tumbleweed. Can you explain the logic? And again, we might be proven wrong if they go and sign somebody on loan or whatever. I'm curious about actually the concept, right? If you don't want to commit a lot of money because you don't have a lot of money because you spent all this money on Rice and Havertz and whatever, that's fine. But a body on loan, is that really not something that is that something they wouldn't contemplate, that Arteta wouldn't
No, I
contemplate?
think it's just hard to find the player of the caliber that they want on loan.
Let me help you. Dusan Vlahovic
Would Dusan Vlahovic go on loan?
for 6 months.
Yeah.
If you pay him when he's not when he has to sit on the bench behind freaking Randall Colomwani,
Yeah.
and he gets a Premier League shop window. When there's
Yeah,
people
maybe.
like
Because I think
Mark
they've
Ogden,
tried. I think they've tried. I'm not sure they
Okay,
tried.
I'm not
Vlahovic, but I
saying
think
him
they've
to-
tried.
but
this
just
option.
a body, just
Yeah,
somebody,
yeah, I know.
even somebody who's Eddie Nketiah level on loan, yeah, just to fill those
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. No. I hear you. I think they looked. I think they tried even before Watkins or the number 9s. I think Matistel right now, as we record on Monday morning, is the. If there was an option that could come on the table and could be done before Monday night, right now it would be him. Something might develop in the afternoon, and
But this I don't understand. You need a consummate goal scorer, right? We
I know,
talked
but
about
you mentioned
Matistel
Eddie
last.
Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah is not a clinical
No,
goal
that's
scorer.
fine. But at least he's a center forward who makes center forward
Yeah,
movements.
true.
You were telling me Matistel is a second striker.
Yeah.
That's presumably his best position.
Because he's very good technically to just be a number 9, but
So
he
is
can be
Kai
a number
Havertz.
9 as well. Yeah, no, exactly, absolutely. But if you look for a target man, yeah, that's not Matistel. But maybe they just don't. Maybe they want more versatility. And somebody like Tell, I'm not saying that they're going to sign Tell 100%, but somebody like Tell can play instead of Saka on the right wing, on the left wing for Trossard or Martinelli, with Havertz instead of Havertz. And yeah, he hasn't scored 250 goals in his career. He's only 19 years old. He's got limited experience, and I get that. But
It's a
there's that
different profile.
versatility that you might not have with, I don't know, let's say, because producer Freddie was talking about Mateta earlier. Jean-Philippe Mateta, I love him.
boom,
He's
boom.
Paris born and bred, boom, boom, boom. But Mateta is a number 9, old school.
Right.
This is it. That's what he does. And maybe Arsenal want a bit more versatility for that player. So I don't know.
All right, let's go back to City. Upcoming fixtures include, but are not limited to, Newcastle United, Liverpool, Real Madrid home and away in the Champions League, Spurs, and then Nottingham Forest, who, let's all laugh at Forest. 7 goals. Hortzler, who's laughing now.
Yeah.
This is a tough run. Part of me, until very recent, would have said, it's a tough run. It's a great opportunity to get points because the players will be motivated, and some of these guys are kind of, direct competition for certainly Newcastle and Forest anyway, Spurs not so much, direct competition for top 4. It's a wonderful opportunity. Now I look at this, and even Real Madrid without, I don't know if Rudiger is going to be fit. That's very much touch and go.
Yeah, touch and go.
I look at this and I say, this is kind of where this season could unravel, potentially.
Absolutely. I mean, it's simple. You just have to look at the games of that caliber that they've played so far this season. Even the one they played at home to Forest when they won 3-0, they could have been 2-1 down at halftime easily in that game. In the Champions League, let's remind everybody that so far they've beaten Bruges, Slovan Bratislava, and Dinamo Zagreb, or another bad team. That's it. That's all. In 8 games, that's all they were able to be. Against Arsenal, they played with 11 against 10 in the reverse fixture at the Etihad. They were lucky to draw that game. Against Liverpool, let's not go there. In the derby against Manchester United, and Manchester United are not even a team as good as the one that we mentioned: Newcastle, Forest, Real Madrid, Liverpool, etc. Like they can't rise up to the occasion every time they play a big team. This has not been possible this season. And yeah, they beat Chelsea, but even that last week.
This is what I find so mysterious about kind of what the master plan is, because the signings that they made, and they spent a lot of money on Vitor Reis, Husanov, and
130 million,
and Marmoush, right? If you break it out, of those 3 guys, the only one you would expect to have an instant impact, potentially, but even then, there's a million doubts because it's his first good season and whatever, and where do you play him, is Marmoush, who I thought, I mean, I'm not saying he was part of the problem against Arsenal, but he certainly wasn't part of the solution either.
I didn't even notice him playing.
I mean, he looked way out of sorts.
Yeah, completely.
So it's like, are these players being signed for the future? Is this how you want to serve Pep Guardiola in what could be his final season? I know he said he's staying another year, but he also
absolutely.
said, depending on the trial, they're not going to be his friends anymore and whatever.
Yeah.
is this where you want to be in terms of finishing strong, qualifying for the Champions League, balancing
I'm with
or
you.
coming closer to balance your books in case you want to move on and sell the club or whatever? I don't understand. I'm assuming
know.
Hugo Viana made these signings, even though he's
Not there yet.
salaries paid by somebody else.
Yeah, I
Well-
don't know. It's a good question.
I just don't follow the master plan here. There's no question they need a refresh.
Yeah, true.
But you do a
is that
refresh,
with
with a manager who could be leaving?
yeah, and also with players like Marmoush a bit different maybe, although there's still a question mark over the one season wonder syndrome kind of thing. Really, we don't know. But certainly for Kusanov and Vitore, like are they for now? But you're right. If they are for next season, why are you not strengthening your team now for like making sure to finish? One of my children yesterday said, "Imagine City qualify for the Conference League next season." Like, I would forfeit it if I was them. Why would City play in the Conference League? I guess you play your reserve team, your under 21s, a bit like Chelsea are doing, and you play a lot of kids to give them. But City in the Conference League, even City in the Europa League would be humiliating, I think.
Be humiliating, but remember, next season there could be no De Bruyne. There will be no Kyle Walker,
Yeah.
I would imagine. I
Yeah,
don't think they're
for
taking
sure
him
now.
back, no matter what happens at Milan. There could be no Bernardo
No
Silva.
Bernardo Silva, that's true.
Gundogan, you want to move out of the picture.
Yeah.
Rodri will be back after a year out. You have no idea what condition he'll be in.
Yeah.
Stones, another perpetual question mark.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of surgery to do there on this team in the summer as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're trying to attract players and I think this is the challenge for them in the summer, you're trying to attract players when we think they'll be appealing or the Premier League will be appealing,
somebody.
whatever the tribunal decision of 130 charges.
True.
If they're also not in the Champions League at that stage, does it then become tougher to attract players?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
would you go there if you say, "Oh, wait, but this team could be relegated,"
Yeah.
and I'm not in the
And-
Champions League next season?
Yeah,
Screw
yeah.
this.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. It's because usually January we say it's a difficult market, but it's a market when you are in trouble or you have had a bad injury and you think, okay, let's go and get a good player. We would not have bought him now, and City are in that position. Like, yeah, ideally they would not have bought anybody in January if they had done the work properly in the summer, but they didn't do it in the summer, and they were so bad this season that they had to do it in January, and yet they go and bring a one-season wonder guy potentially, and then two very promising but still very raw and young centre backs.
All right, it's the new year, so I'm entitled to do percentages.
Okay.
6 points back for Arsenal. Liverpool have a game in hand. Percent chance Arsenal become 2024-25 Premier League champions.
70-30, is that fair? Is that
You go
too high
30%.
for Arsenal?
Mhm.
Yeah, 60-40.
That close.
don't know.
Interesting.
I mean, there's a Liverpool Arsenal at Anfield. Okay, so good luck to Arsenal to go there and get something.
I think potentially. I know it's the Merseyside derby, the game in hand and whatever, but I think potentially 9 points, even 7 points is a lot at
Sure.
this stage of the.
So what would you have gone 80-20, even more?
No, I'm not. First of all, I'm not going to disrespect Forest and the others. I just asked you specifically about Arsenal, so I'm gonna give Arsenal a 10% chance at this stage. All right, enough Arsenal. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
Manchester United fall to Crystal Palace and have now lost 5 of their last 6 league home games. Jules, Ruben Amorim says he saw some good things. Do you agree? And is Kobe Mainu at center forward one of them?
Which question do you want me to destroy him with first? Do I agree on the good things or the Kobe Mainu one?
Your choice.
I
There
didn't
were
see
some good things. In the first half, they weren't terrible. They created chances.
in the first 15 minutes. I mean, there's zero shot on target in that first half, so it can't have been that
Shots
great.
on goal.
Yeah. They
The
had 10
direction of
shots.
the
They had
goal.
6 corners. Start was decent. Yeah, I just didn't see enough. Again, I didn't see enough. It took him 7 home games in the league to lose 5. We don't need to go into the other previous managers, but this is by far the worst. The Kobe Mainu as a number 9 is mind-blowing and blew my mind yesterday. Did he try, do you think, to send a message to his board and to people saying, I need a number 9 badly because Zirkzee and Højlund, I don't like them, they're not good
You
enough?
probably should have sent it earlier, given the windows was shutting.
Absolutely.
24
That's
hours
exactly
later.
my point. What do you do now then?
No, he's not. I think he's
And
trying.
then Kobe Mainu, why? What? Like, really, why?
Well, it's funny because I was watching on English television, people trying to justify, oh, look, he's gifted, and look, he can bring other players in, and Garnacho and Amad Diallo run past him. Look, I have to stay consistent. I've said this is the point where you pack it in the league, use the league for your experiments and to teach your football, and focus on the Europa League and the FA Cup, right?
Yeah.
I guess he's listening to us, and this is what he's doing.
Really? So, I mean, just to finish on that, because I could not disagree more. They played in Europa League on Thursday night. They would have come back in the night between Thursday and Friday. Friday, you don't train. Saturday, you don't train because you're the day before the game. So they would have played in this formation now with Kobe Mainu as a number 9 without having worked on it at all. Before Premier League match, against a team that was actually in decent form too. Why would you do this?
Because he doesn't have time to work. So rather than
But you don't do anything then. Just play
having
Højlund and
Højlund be
Zirkzee.
booed at home again for the 10 millionth time.
But they were bad, Gab. This is a bad defeat. It's another home defeat. This is terrible.
Hey, Ruben, I'm trying. I'm sorry.
No, but Ruben, there's no justification for what you did. This is ridiculous. This is now you're shooting yourself in the foot. And I've had enough of it already, man. You've been there 2 minutes and you do silly things like this. This was stupid from Amorim. This was really silly. It made no sense whatsoever, and he got punished for it, and he deserved it. Aston Villa fall at Wolves 2-0. But Gab, the big story is the signing of Marcus Rashford on loan for Aston Villa.
Yeah, big story in the Rashford household. Anyway, look, it's nice if he gets to play again. I think he and John Duran are completely different players. He's not going to be an alternative there. Marco Asensio supposedly on
loan with no option to buy.
Wait, well, what about those funny French loan rules? How'd they get around that?
I don't know. It's finished. Well,
they found somebody else to send on loan.
No, but Endo is gone.
I don't. I believe you.
Yeah, no. So, but it's a problem for Chelsea, by the way. Chelsea in a similar position to loan out Chilwell, for example, or Chukwuemeka.
Well, we'll see if they get around to it when the window closes. I don't think Rashford moves the needle. I'm glad that he's playing, but I wouldn't expect him to make any serious contribution to Villa for
you don't think he can recover his form there?
Not for the first 4 to 6 weeks. No, it's just been too long without playing.
Yeah,
and it's a complicated system of playing.
I agree with you.
Robert Lewandowski scores the only goal as Barcelona down Alaves 1-0. Jules, that Lamine Yamal is pretty good.
So the game in itself, it took a long time for them to break them down. Okay, no problem. But if you haven't seen it yet, there's one moment in particular in this game where Lamine Yamal takes on 7. That is right, 7 Alaves players. A bit like, I know it's not good for us to compare him with Messi, and it's unfair. But this is very Messi-esque.
It's Messi-esque. There were also elements of the famous George Weah goal.
Yeah.
From the mid-90s. The difference that George Weah was a man, he was an adult, he was 30. Yeah. And he was strong.
And remember Brazilian Ronaldo with Barcelona against Celta?
Let's wash our mouths out.
No, but it doesn't matter so much. It's exactly the same. So incredible. If you haven't seen it, go and see it, because the way he dribbled past those players is just ridiculously good. A late Angelino goal holds Napoli away to Roma 1-1. Gab, I bet Antonio Conte was not happy at all.
He wasn't happy. He tried to turn it around and says, like, oh, look, we're away to Roma. And, people are shocked that we dropped the point. That shows you people now fear us and respect us and have high expectations for us and blah, blah, blah. Like, the narrative, it was a late goal. It was just, I think it was, again, a defensive error, as these goals often are. But equally, Roma, they left 6 starters out because they played in the Europa League on Thursday and they have the Coppa Italia, which are
absolutely
really important for them. So, dude, you need to do better. I think it's 2 shots on target for Napoli. Those were your starters out there. He's grumpy too because Kvaratskhelia is gone. He was promised, Garnacho, Adeyemi for some reason. Now it looks like it could be Alan Saint-Maximin. We'll find out shortly if it's actually him. He seems like the least Conte type player in the universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are 2 big points dropped. Jules, we're not done because we have more quick hits. Mohamed Salah strikes twice as Liverpool beat Bournemouth, who hadn't lost since November.
Yeah.
Arne Slot says they were, quote, a bit lucky. I have to agree with the great Dutch bald manager.
Yeah, sure. I mean, haven't lost since November in the league. Obviously, they lost since in other competitions. But
So what other competition? What, like the FA Cup? Some nonsense
like the Champions League, you know that competition where
No, Bournemouth.
Oh, you mean Bournemouth? Sorry,
Yes,
I thought you
Bournemouth
meant
haven't lost since
Liverpool.
November.
Yeah, Bournemouth. You're
Up the
Bournemouth probably.
cherries.
Yeah, you're right.
Team
Sorry.
Iraola,
My bad,
vamos.
Gabby. My bad. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
LFG.
And I'm with you and Arne Slot. Yeah, they were a bit lucky. I mean, I guess the turning point is the Justin Kluivert chance, and I feel for him because he was in such great form.
I thought even before that, Bournemouth hit the woodwork twice.
Yeah, yes.
There was
the
penalty is about as soft as it gets, and the goal.
I disagree with you on the penalty.
The goal is another moment of genius from Mohamed Salah. Like,
yeah, but before the goal, there's the Kluivert that can make it 1-1.
No, of course. But I'm saying is like even that second
yeah,
goal,
absolutely.
like nobody else on the pitch does that.
That's true. And Liverpool have nothing else really outside of those two chances. Pretty much.
I start to wonder if fatigue isn't catching up a little bit with them.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point. We'll have to see. And not that many people will put them under pressure like Bournemouth did with that kind of intensity.
True. That's the flip side.
Yeah,
they don't have to play it all again.
Yeah, exactly. Stefan de Vrij pops up in injury time to score the equalizer in the Milan derby. Gab, is this what Inter deserved?
I actually thought they deserved more. I actually thought they deserved all 3 points. They hit the woodwork a couple times. There was that Pavlovic on Thuram penalty
disallowed.
They had the disallowed goal. They had Magic Mike had to make some magic saves.
The penalty, you're right.
I mean, for me, Inzaghi was annoyed. He doesn't often talk about officiating in VR calls. He let this one go a little because it would have been really big. Coupled, obviously, he didn't know this at the time.
Yeah,
because he's not Nostradamus. This was before the Napoli game, but actually, they could have caught them. For Milan, yes, there's some progress again, but again, we're going to see angry Conceição. Chukwueze completely loses Zalewski.
Do you think they should be playing? Do you think Milan should still be playing? I know he wants the fighting spirit, all of that, but do you think they should be playing better now? Like,
yes.
like yesterday, I'm watching this game and I'm like, okay, do something a bit.
They're so inconsistent.
So predictable.
He has
as well.
all the same problems that Paulo Fonseca had.
Yeah.
He's just trying to deal with it in a different way.
Yeah,
More stick, less carrot. I don't know, but there's work to be done. And it's all change up front for Milan. Santi Jimenez is on his way from Feyenoord, and Alvaro Morata is on his way to Galatasaray, where he'll team up with Victor Osimhen. This all makes sense to you, Jules?
I mean, I love the Santi Jimenez deal because we are big fans here, obviously. And it's funny that Santi Jimenez will then face Feyenoord again in the Champions League because Milan will play Feyenoord in the playoffs. So that should be a bit tasty, especially when he goes back to the Cup, if he's fit for it and picked, obviously. For Morata, I'm not sure if Galatasaray, I know Icardi is injured, so obviously maybe Galatasaray wanted another striker to go with Osimhen. I think sure. There were not 6 good months for Morata in Milan. No,
but I also think, he had his moments, but not as a center forward, as kind of like a withdrawn, like number 10. Some of their best games came
deeper.
When he was deeper. And I think this is the player he is right now. I would imagine he might play with Osimhen rather than an alternative to Osimhen. Yeah. Jimenez is 23 years old, 30 million. I think that's a really, really good price.
I agree.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, Real Madrid lose to relegation threatened Espanyol 1-0. Gab, they are pretty angry about it.
Yeah, they're angry. They're angry with the referee. And
so they should.
I think in this case, they're 100% justified. I have no problem criticizing Florentino when he talks about bringing in English refs and getting Real Madrid TV to preemptively go and put pressure on referees. But this is a game that they should have won. They hit the woodwork 3 times. But 2, for me, really, really big incorrect calls. Kylian Mbappe is being held by the defender.
Yeah.
He wriggles free. And that is what leads to Vinicius's disallowed goal.
Yeah.
Because they called a foul on Mbappe. I'm sorry, if the defender's holding you back, it's not like Mbappe says, let me hold the defender. This is a great way to attack. Yeah. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
And then Carlos Romero is the guy who fouls Mbappe from behind, gets a yellow. That's a red every time. And he happens to be the guy who scores a winner for Espanyol. Well, Hey, you win some, you lose some. And next week, of course, the big Madrid derby.
Yeah.
Bayern go 4-0 up against second bottom Holstein Kiel and then concede 3 times, Jules. They get the 3 points, but this is really frustrating.
It is. And it's not the first time. Remember, even back in the first match day of the Champions League against Dinamo Zagreb, when they're 2-0 up at halftime and they should have been 6-0 up at halftime, and then they conceded those 2 goals straight away after the break and to go to 2-2. And in the end,
they did score another 7 after that.
Still, you're right. But still, do you know, like they have those moments where they just switched off. completely. And in this game, they were cruising. They were 4-0 up. Horsham Kiel are not a good team at all. We know that. And yet, they let them come back in the game. And they were never going to draw in the game. But still, it's just not a good look. And if your company, that lost, that you just want your team to control, even a 4-0 lead, or whatever advantage you have. And that, they just stop playing, basically.
Especially considering Company's day job when he was a player.
Yeah, as well. You're right, absolutely.
Oh, by the way, 55 goals in 50 games for Harry Kane, which is one of those Fugazi records that marketing people love us to talk about. Very impressive.
Yeah. Atletico Madrid put within 1 point of the top of La Liga, and Real Madrid ahead of the Madrid derby, as we mentioned, next weekend, as they beat Mallorca 2-0. How did they look, Gab?
I thought they looked good. I think he made his changes. The only Sorloth in captivity started. Coquet in midfield. It's just a different look with them. We talked about their depth. Samuelino scored the opener. Griezmann, pretty sweet. The second goal, the little chip.
So good.
It's 500 games in La Liga for El Cholo Simeone.
Yeah, just in
He
La
is
Liga.
8th all-time, all with the same team. I don't know if he's going to catch Luis Aragonés, who's got 227 more than he does. But
So what that would be like?
that would be like another 8 years, something like that. Yeah, probably not going to happen. But hey, it's El Cholo. Anything can happen. Ousmane Dembélé is on fire. He gets a hat-trick as PSG pilot on late in the 5-2 win over Brest. Kvicha Kvaratskhelia made his debut, by the way.
Yeah, and Mr. Sitter.
Stop it. This is so much fun. I'm so psyched that we get to see these two teams play again twice more in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, in the Champions League. But Dembélé back-to-back hat-tricks, one against Stuttgart, one against Brest. Incredible. He's got 14 goals in his last 8 games, 9 all competitions. I don't know what happened to him, really. I know he bet with his mate that if he reached a certain amount of goals this season, then they would get him a Patek Philippe watch and a Rolex watch. Good, he's playing for the Rolex and Patek Philippe. He's got plenty of great watches already, so I'm not sure what 2 more will do. But I love to see him like this because he finally has found that consistency in front of goal that has been missing, really, for him. The last time he scored a hat-trick, Gabby, was in 2016, and now he's got 2 in 4 days.
Look, he's a very talented two-footed player. Why not? And, with Colomwani gone, Asensio on his way out of the way. The only thing I'm wondering is, do they become a little bit thin? That would be my only question. Maybe. But hey, and Gonzalo Ramos getting his goals in garbage time.
Yeah, as a super sub, which is his role now, to be fair. Victor Boniface is back with a bang with Leverkusen. Gab, he opens the scoring in their 3-1 win over Offenheim.
Yeah, and funnily enough, though, a little bit like Bayern, I don't know, it must be a German thing. Yeah. Hey, let's go and make life difficult for ourselves. They're 3-0 up. They could have been 6-0 up. Patrick Schick also getting on the score sheet. He's going to have to.
Came on at halftime for Boniface.
He's going to have to decide whether I would like to see the two play together with Wirtz.
Would be fun.
But hey, that's up to Xabi Alonso. But Grimaldo. Alex Grimaldo, come on. He gets the first yellow for kicking the ball away or doing something stupid like that. And then the second one, completely needless. You're cruising. Now he's suspended. You need to catch Bayern. This is your job. Stay focused. Jules, you love Jordan Henderson.
Yes.
Your love for him knows no bounds. Now, it looked as if he was agitating for another January move to Monaco. Instead, he captains Ajax in their big 2-1 win over Feyenoord.
Yeah, what a story this is. As you know, I'm not a big fan. I don't really I've got nothing against the person. I'm just not a fan of the player. I don't think he's very good. But he's 34 years old, and somehow Monaco, I even told my people at Monaco, why are you going for him? Anyway, Monaco were keen on him. They wanted to bring some experience to the club, so they thought, Henderson, great. And I think Jordan really wanted to swap Amsterdam for Monaco and the life in Monaco with the family. So I think I was told that he really wanted to go to Monaco, pushed for a move to the point that on Thursday night in the Europa League, he didn't want to wear the armband because of everything that was happening, because the fact that he wanted to leave the club and was pushing for the club. So without even telling Farioli, he gave up his armband in a way and gave it to the goalkeeper. He was back as the captain yesterday on Sunday because things have been resolved. But for a long time, he was pushing and pushing and pushing for a move, which obviously kind of was leaked to the Dutch press and the Dutch media who wrote it. Henderson was not happy, kind of called them out on Sunday in a press conference after the game, after they beat Feyenoord in the last minute. And there was this back and forth exchange between some journalist and Henderson where they were saying to him, okay, give us he was saying basically, you lied, you wrote things that were not true and that made me look bad. And they said, okay, no problem. What did we write that was wrong? And he goes like, well, I don't want to go into details. And they were like, well, if you're telling us that we lied, you have to tell us why we lied and give us details about it. And he said, no, I'm not here to give you details. And it was like, well, Jordan, in a way, they are right. If you want to really clear out everything and tell the truth, then say everything, but he didn't want to.
You know what? Between this and obviously going back to the move to Saudi Arabia and stuff and the things that he said about the LGBTQ community before going and whatever, and then his supposed clear the air sit-down interview. This guy has a community. I don't know if he's a bad person, but he clearly has some sort of communication problem. Like, if you
he's
come
Nathan's
out,
friend, so he must be a good person. But
a lot of people really like him, and I'm sure he's a good guy, and I like him as a footballer more than you do. But you have to go out and you have to be accountable, especially if you're wearing a captain's armband.
Yeah.
You know, is it a fact that the goalkeeper got to wear the captain's armband on Thursday? Start with that.
Yeah.
Say why you didn't have it.
Yeah.
And then because he's a good pro, he turns in a big performance and they win this big game. Great. But you can't do stuff and then run. Just own it and explain yourself. And people will understand you if you do that. Tottenham Hotspur win their first league game since mid-December as they roll past Brentford 2-0. Jules, this was not Ange ball, but it's 3 points.
it is, and I guess that's all that matters. And they didn't concede, which they have been conceding at least a goal in every game for the last 10 years or so. So yeah, they were not the best team in this game. I think Brentford played some really good football at times, should have scored, had many chances to do so, and one corner from Heung-min Son somehow makes it in.
And then the goalkeeper who's standing in for Flecken.
For Flecken, who's injured.
Okay, you always know. So in for those watching in England, there's a program called Match of the Day where the commentators, they like to foreshadow things. They do their commentary so it sounds as live.
Yeah.
They had this whole to do with the goalkeeper, Valdemirson, and his hat. Is he going to put his hat on? Is he not going to put his hat? Somebody brought him a hat. And I'm like, why do you keep talking about his hat? And then I realized why. Because somehow it would come into play later when he goes and he flaps at the ball and concedes the first goal.
But it was good to win, especially before Thursday night big game, of course, the second leg semi-final of the League Cup away at Liverpool. So a bit of positivity, I guess, for Ange and Spurs before that massive game in their season, certainly.
Shout out to Ben Davies as well.
Yeah,
as ever.
Outstanding again. Paris Born and Bred, Randall Colomoni. It was a really good weekend for the Paris Born and Bred players, by the way. They scored twice as Juventus beat Empoli 4-1. Gab, is the answer to Thiago Motta's prayers?
So, Randall Colomwani has scored 3 goals for Juventus thus far. The first one last week was when the guy mishits his clearance and the ball just comes straight at him and almost bounces off him and into the goal. Another one was a little bit better. It was Ravanelli style, if you will, where the guy gives the ball away. He sort of shoulders his way past them, and not a good finish, by the way. No. Some responsibility from the goalkeeper there. Yeah. And then the third goal, literally,
it's not his fault.
Somebody shoots and the ball comes off his backside, right, into the goal. So, he runs a lot. It's a lot of movement. I think the answer is the large Serb sitting on the bench, Dusan Vlahovic,
who came on and they played together for the last half hour.
Yeah, and he scored a great goal in garbage time. But the reality, as we've said before, Dusan Vlahovic is on stupid money. Yeah. Juventus have to shift him, or they're going to end up letting him go as a free. Nobody's going to pay $380,000 a week if you're thinking weekly gross wages for Dusan Vlahovic's salary. So I think their best thing would have been to stick with Dusan Vlahovic, make it work. Thiago Motta's other ideas. But more broadly, we saw a bright Juve after some not so bright performances.
In January was bad for them.
And by the way, Renato Vega, how about that?
Yeah, that's true.
Do not adjust your podcast device or television. This is not an error. This is not a test. Nottingham Forest stay third in the table, and they do it by destroying Brighton 7-0. Jules, our producer Freddie thinks we talk too much about Forest.
Oh, really? Does he?
Yes,
okay.
He gave me stick about it. I can't help but talk about them when they're third in the table, and they inflict a can of whoop-ass on Fabian Hürzeler, who's kind of like the Icarus of the situation. Dude, you get above your station. Yeah, look at me. Look at my 4-1-5 formation.
Stupid formation. And now he got taught a lesson, absolute lesson tactically by Nuno. And a bit like what we said about Amorim before, I think Özil deserves it. It was completely naive. And he's been very naive this season. We've said that after the defeat at Chelsea, for example.
He's been brave, he would say.
Yeah, stupid, I would say. Because that formation from the beginning, we could have told you, you're going to get spanked here. And they did. I didn't think it would be 7-0. And towards the end, they just gave up playing.
What was the logic? Because
tell me what the logic was. Because 5 forwards in a game like this, away at Forest, the best teams in transition in the league this season, is unforgivable.
That's the part I completely don't understand. Like I'm all for being daring and taking the game to the opposition, but Forest don't play out of the back. They lump the ball to Chris Wood, or they lump it into space for Elanga, Gibbs White, or Hudson-Odoi, one of the other fast people to get to it, right?
Yeah.
So what was the point? And it was almost like Nuno knew they were going to play with the 5 forwards. So he sticks on another center back and says, hey, you're 5 forwards. Have fun trying to find space in the most congested area.
Incredible.
With Monster Murillo back there and Monster Milenkovic.
Yeah.
Monster Morato, not so much.
Not so much, but still. I just could not believe it. And I think Hutzler needs to learn very quickly that this is not the Bundesliga or Bundesliga 2 or whatever. This is the best league in the world. And you don't do that. Certainly not in this game, away at Forest against a team like that. And you know the qualities, like you said, Gabby, it was, I don't know, blew my mind again.
I felt bad for Hinchelwood by
poor kid.
A teenage right back playing midfield by himself with all these guys running at him from all directions. Yeah. Come on.
Niko Kovac officially takes over today after Borussia Dortmund's 2-1 win at Heidenheim. Gab, does he inherit? What does he inherit and what the expectation should be?
So I think he inherits what is still the 3rd or 4th best squad in the Bundesliga in terms of players. That said, they're in the bottom half of the table. What cannot happen, what must not happen, and I say this to all the genius ex-pros who are involved in making the decisions in the front office at Dortmund, you need to have clear boundaries here and a clear sense of what you need to do. You are 4 points away from the Champions League spots.
Yeah.
Getting Dortmund
really tight
into the top 4 is non-negotiable. This is what you have to do. Otherwise, I'll keep the other guy here. You cannot come up with this notion of, oh, yes, we're building for the future. No. You built the squad for the present. Otherwise, you wouldn't have spent all this money on Guirassy and Valdemar Anton, and you still got Emre Can knocking around. They have to be very clear with him because Kovac, I don't think he's a great coach, but he's shown that he can be a good coach. And I think you need some pragmatism there, and you need to get this team back in the top 4, and they need to do a run as far as they can in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Anthony makes his debut for Betis on loan for Manchester United, and they hold Athletic Bilbao to a 2-2 draw. Jules, did you like what you saw?
No, but I mean, I don't want to be too harsh because obviously...
I will be.
Yeah, so he's involved in the first goal. Okay. Outside of that, if you want to give him a bit of credit for that, which we can, I guess we can. The rest is pretty bad, pretty average. I mean, I think he tried one dribble in the game, which he didn't succeed in. There's not many passes. There's not many touches.
He gave the ball away 14 times.
I was going to say. There's
and
not
if those aren't
much
dribbles, what are those? Like wayward passes, miscontrols, like...
Square passes a lot. But maybe it's because he hasn't played for so long. He's clearly low on confidence. He needs a bit more time, for rhythm, to know the team around him. Was it the best idea to start him in a game like this? Not so much, I think. But,
good result, though.
Yeah, great result. But great result. Not thanks to Anthony. That's all. Atalanta stayed 3rd in the table, but held at home by Torino, 1-1. Gab, I bet Gasperini is grumpy, a bit like what we said about Conte. And with the new signing, cheer him up?
I think it'll cheer him up if he doesn't see Zaniolo anymore, who is, again... reportedly in these last hours of the transfer window on his way out.
Yeah.
But we get another Maldini in the Champions League. Yes, that's right.
He deserved that move, no?
Sorry?
He earned that move.
He earned the move, yeah. People give him stick. He has to deal with this all the time. I say, if you had a different last name, if your last name was Maldonado or something, you wouldn't be where you are. And so I think he's at the fight against it. But for what Atalanta want and where they are, I think he fits the bill. He gives you an alternative. Ademola Lookman out now as well. And more importantly, although Scamacca's on his way back, and they signed Stefan Posch, who I think is a great signing. It looked like he was going to go back to the Bundesliga. They need him because they're down to just 3 center backs. Kolasinac out, now Scalvini out as well. You don't want Martin de Roon to have to play center back, also because you have no central midfielders. So it's good. And Sad to report also Vanya Milinkovic-Savic, the Torino goalkeeper, complaining afterwards that he was ethnically abused. Obviously, he's Serb. It was a wild one in the Olympico as Marseille beat Lyon 3-2. Jules, I thought it was mean that Luis Enrique scored the winner after our pal John Texter was so nice to him at Botafogo, helped them win the title, and this is how you replay, JT? Shame, Luis Enrique. For shame.
So it's not the same Luis Enrique, but I see what you try to do there. And for Luis Enrique, this one, the Marseille one, who've been pretty poor since he signed at the club.
This is the Luis Enrique who's got friends who like to go and put bets on games. Yeah,
but it was a really good game, to be fair. I mean, it was 0-0 at halftime. The second half was so good. Marseille took the lead. Lyon came back again, and then that late winner from Luis Enrique was great, although he was completely on his own on that cross from the left-hand side. Great from De Zerbi, maybe one of the best games I've seen Marseille since he took over at the club. He was super happy after. The atmosphere at the Velodrome was brilliant. And this shows again that Marseille are clearly the best second team, the second best team in Ligue 1, behind PSG. I think the gap is too big now for them to come back and win the title. But they would be a great second if they can keep playing like this. Rabiot, outstanding. And Amin Gouiri, who's just been signed for 24 million euros from Rennes, also with a really good debut. He wears the number 9, which has been cursed for a very long time now. We say that nobody wants to wear that number in Marseille.
It worked fine for Jean-Pierre Papin.
Yeah, but probably since then, maybe Alain Bokchik as well, but that was it. So good luck to Gouiri, but certainly very good from De Zerbi and Marseille.
And did you see a Fonseca effect?
He played a very defensive system, which I think surprised a few people there. To be fair, he'd been there 2 minutes. So he had one training session or two with the team. So it was a hard game to start for him, I guess. Leipzig draw 0-0 at Union Berlin on Sunday. Gab, you have something to say about the SOS and Marco Rose? I think I know what it is.
Yeah, I'm tired of bigging these guys.
He has to go. Come
Sesko, Openda, Simons. No, but this can't just be on him. I'm sure Marco Rose says, hey, guys, run around aimlessly, make only 2 shots on target. The XG in this game, 0.27.
So it's such a bad game. Against a very defensive team, though. But still.
Fine. Shoot. Run at people. Beat them. Make something happen.
I know.
Get fouled. I don't see how you can. They're still 4th in the table. I don't see how you can have this level of inefficiency. Look, it's fine to draw with Union Berlin, but you need to put in an effort. There is no possible way a team could have 0.27 expected goals against a side like
you're
right. Sesko's 8 feet tall. Put the ball in the box. Let him win a header. Come on, man.
I know.
There's stuff. The other one runs at people, draw fouls, do something.
Yeah.
It's like Simon. I would hate to think that now that Simon's
permanent,
the deal's permanent. He's set up for life. He's like, let me take it easy now for a while. Come on, man. And you know what, Jurgen Klopp, you're listening to this?
He was in Brazil though. He was too busy.
Okay, I'm fine. I would hope he watched this game. I know he's in Brazil, and between one caipirinha and the other, have a word, man. Tottenham have picked up Kevin Danso on loan with obligation to buy for a reported 25 million euros.
That's right.
From Lens. Good business for our friend Joseph, huh?
Very good from Joseph Gourlian again.
Does he move the needle? And why are you signing this guy just as Mickey van der Veen comes back and presumably Romero soon too?
And I
guess Dragusin is hurt now again.
Yeah, Dragusin is hurt. They also want Disasi, which I believe he wanted to go to Villa, but Navila out of it. So Disasi, why would you want 5 centre backs like that? Van der Ven, Romero, Disasi, Danso, and Dragusin.
It's Angeball 2.0. 1.0, let's play with 1 million attacking players. Now we're going to play with 6 centre backs.
Four. We've seen 4 centre backs in the back 4 before. Like, look at how France won the World Cup. So, but I love Danso. He's 26 years old. I think this is his value. So whether you think he's too much or not, I personally I don't think so. At his best, he's outstanding. Really, and he needs to be tested in a league like the Premier League. So he will need to step up and to adapt quickly and to show what he can do. But in France, when he was up for it, outstanding.
All right. Every time I've seen him play, he struck me as somebody who was a very good athlete, smart, tough, committed defender. Not exactly the most comfortable on the ball. Is that fair? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think it is. I think he can carry the ball. better than being a passer of the ball, if you see what I mean. I think Medina, for example, at Lens was the better passer, but that's probably not if you play with a Van der Ven or if he plays with Romero. It might not be the prime passer anyway from the two. We'll see. I guess he can still improve, but yeah, that's not his best attribute for sure. Juventus had another body at the back, and he is Lloyd Kelly. Yeah, you say who? Yeah, that's right. Lloyd Kelly is joining on loan from Newcastle with a 20 million euros option to buy.
Okay, so
help me out here because I don't see this one.
Okay, so first of all, let me deal with the option to buy thing, and this applies to Marcus Rashford as well. Options to buy are basically worthless because if it's a player the original club doesn't really want, which is presumably the case with most cases with Rashford, and I'm assuming with Mr. Kelly as well, they're not going to force the guy to come back if he's happy where he is, right? So you can generally always negotiate the option to buy down.
True.
So I think this is what Juventus are hoping to do because he's 26 years old. He was fine at Bournemouth. Eddie Howe made a big to-do about signing him and whatever. But he only started 4 games for Newcastle. Part of it is the man is always injured.
Yeah.
He's kind of on the Darren Anderton plan, and I'm sort of dating myself there. I guess for Juve, it's an extra body. I don't understand. I know Bremer will come back one day, but I almost feel like the lack of individual quality defenders, and look, Kalulu I think has been good. Gatti's been better. But beyond that, you don't really have alternatives. And I think this is what forces Thiago Motta to be more defensive. And he does it the Motta way by having more attacking players on the pitch, but then forcing the attacking players to be more defensive. You could argue doesn't make too much sense. Yeah, I don't know where he fits. If he's fit,
I don't know.
Maybe he's an alternative.
Is he good enough to play for Juventus, really? I don't think so.
I don't think he's better than Gatti, and I don't think he's better than Kalulu, and I don't think he's better than Bremer.
No, definitely not.
You know,
they wanted Donso, by the way, as well, Juventus.
Yeah, but they didn't want to spend 25 million.
That's true. Yeah, they wanted a loan with no obligation to buy.
Miguel Almiron is back in MLS, Jules. He returns with a magic. Actually, my Paraguayan friends will be angry if I say the magic probably started at Cerro Porteño or whatever Paraguayan team he played for before. But to most of the world who doesn't follow Paraguayan football as closely as our colleague Roberto Rojas does, the reality is he came on people's radar at Atlanta United. Yeah. And now he's back there in a deal worth around 10 million.
That's a really good deal from a Newcastle point of view, I think, to get that money from Almiron. He's been a great servant to Newcastle. Could he have been better? Of course he could have. He had still some great moments there. And he goes back to Atalanta and to a team in Atlanta United where I think he will improve them and he will be very good in MLS. So I'm so happy that he's going back there. I think that's the right way. And then after that, he can go back to Paraguay and finish his career there.
And he's 30, I think. Yeah, so it's not like he's that old.
No, it's all. Jorginho, one of your favorite ever, is heading back to Brazil. He reached a deal with Flamengo to go there in June when his contract with Arsenal expires. Are you sad to see him go?
I think obviously his time at Arsenal come to the end, and with Zubimendi coming in, although I appreciate, Arteta's not a fool. Arteta knows, Zubimendi's not showing up until the summer. There will be games when I need Jorginho. Absolutely. There will be games when I realize that Declan Rice or Thomas Partey against an opponent that parks the bus, that's not what we call ball circulation.
No, that's true.
So I like that. I hope we get to see him more and not just the little jump penalties. I think there's certain games when you will need Jorginho, others when obviously aren't suited for him. I'm happy he gets to go back to Brazil and to arguably Brazil's biggest club because, obviously the guy, while he's Italian, he's also Brazilian. He moved to Italy when he was 18 years old, right? Or 17, I think. So, I will miss him, but I wish him all the best at Mengao. Barcelona's women's team lose at home to Levante 2-1 in a wild ending. 2 injury time goals, a red card. Jules, their unbeaten streak ends at 46 games in the league. And it's also the first time they failed to win a game this season. Yeah,
and it's one of those games. I think they had 43 shots in that game, 90% possession of the ball, something ridiculous like that. Levante had 2 goals on the counter, very, very late, like you said. Gabi, Barca have lost Kieran Walsh, of course, who was moved to Chelsea now and was involved in the game yesterday. No, but I'm just saying, it's just not a good week, basically. You lose a player that you probably didn't want to lose, who's the best in a position, and then you get to lose that game. Barca are still going to win probably the domestic treble. It's not a problem. Or domestic double and the Champions League somehow. So it's not that bad. But yeah, it's one of those freak results that we see.
I'm going to
now
take
and again.
this as the opportunity to underscore what I always say. This is the issue with women's professional football right now. There is such an imbalance of power and resources between the top teams and everybody else that you do not need. Like, I'm against the Super League in men's football. In women's football, there's no reason you don't have to do things the way the men's game, which started 120 years ago with the pyramid and all this stuff, the way they did it. You can strike your own path. I wish people would look at this. Seriously, who would want to go and watch these games when Barcelona always win?
I know.
And except for this week, right?
And then the odd draw there and there, yeah.
But how is it even good for the Barcelona players to go and face that? I mean, obviously there's the Women's Champions League, but seriously, I wish somebody came up with some sort of rational plan, however you want to do it, where take the top teams from France, from the WSL, where they only play 22 games, right? And again, you've got 3 or 4 teams with budgets that are a million times everybody else. Honestly, like they're doing the women's international football. It works. It's great. Women's club football, there is so many margins for growth. They need some smart people to think about this.
Let's go to the Dutch League now, Gabby. Heerenveen are held 2-2 at home by Fortuna Sittard, but Robin van Persie isn't happy at all, Gab. Why?
He's always grumpy, that guy. No, he shouldn't be happy because Fortuna, Robin van Persie is the Heerenveen manager. Yeah. Fortuna Sittard played more than a minute with 12 men on the pitch. I have never seen this happen in professional football.
That's incredible.
I've seen it happen occasionally. Well, we see it in the NFL sometimes. Somebody's not quick enough to come off the field. I've seen it happen in basketball once or twice. I don't see how it could possibly happen with football because when you come off the pitch, did this moron run onto the pitch while his teammate was still there? And then his teammate got confused, didn't see his number. I don't understand. I don't know what you would do to remedy this.
Yeah.
How would you fix this?
I just the poor attention from the referee, who clearly didn't see the injured players coming back on, the substitutions happening, but then he still goes on. You don't allow him to go, like that kind of confusion. I think you should
forfeit this game. I'm sorry. This is.
But then the argument we've had this before. I don't know if Bruce Freddie remembers. We had something like that. Maybe not as much as a minute, but like 30 seconds. But that 1 minute with one extra man didn't change anything in the game, right? Didn't change the momentum of the game. They didn't score while they were with 12 men.
Well, you could say that.
Yeah, but sure. They ended up scoring later when it was back to 11 against 11.
Heerenveen didn't score, but maybe they would have scored if they weren't a man down.
Maybe, but yeah, I don't know.
I just don't understand. I'm sorry, but I know obviously you blame first and foremost the referee, and fair enough.
Yeah, because it's not Fortuna's fault either.
By the way, it's not just the referee. This is the Dutch Eredivisie, right? This isn't the Mickey Mouse League, or maybe it is, because you've got VAR and the assistant VAR and the fourth official and the assistants, and there's people in the stadium watching this. This isn't being played behind closed doors.
No.
The fact that nobody notices, and also this moron says like, "Oh look, I'm still on the pitch, but my number came up." Seriously?
I know, but then it would be unfair, I think, because this is nothing to do. It's not Fortuna's fault, I think.
I
don't think so. I don't think they said to
your number goes up on the board. You come onto the pitch while the guy's still there.
It's not as simple as that. The way this happened. So I think this is on the referee and VAR and all the people, all the officials more than anything else.
I don't think they were doing it to gain an advantage because
no. I think it was a proper confusion. That's all.
Still. Manchester City and Arsenal also squared off in the Women's Super League, Jules. This one was a little bit closer.
Yeah, and it was in Manchester, this one, and Arsenal won 4-3 really late. It was really... Arsenal
Great week, by the way, for Manchester City.
I know, terrible.
Did we listen to Chloe Kelly business?
2-0 up, then 2-2, then 3-2 up for Arsenal, 3-3, and then 4-3. Blackstenius scoring the winner on a Beth Mead cross. This is big as well because Chelsea are going to win the league. But behind them... There's 3 teams in United, City and Arsenal for 2 positions to go into the Champions League with Chelsea next season because the top 3 only will qualify. Arsenal were a point behind City. They won. They go 2 clear. Now there's still a long way to go between now and the end of the season. But this was a very significant win away from home. Really good from Renée Slegers. And at City, like you said, it's not a good time either. And I think Gareth Taylor is under massive pressure there. Neymar dos Santos is all done now. Gabby, we saw him arriving with his helicopter and all his family, everything. The rain was there too. I bet you're happy that we won't have to talk about his future now for a while.
Yes, I'm extremely happy. I was getting so tired by this nonsense. Look, I hope for him he finds some serenity. He enjoys some football. People have made so much money off him, mostly him and his family. And well, to be fair, also some other people who then got into legal trouble. Think back to the original Santos to Barcelona deal.
Yes, absolutely.
Now he's back home. He should have everything he wants. Focus on getting fit. And I will see you at the 2026 World Cup. That's when I next want to hear the word Neymar mentioned.
Okay, because you can. This is a 6-month deal, so you can move in the summer again to come back to Europe or go to MLS or go somewhere.
Yeah, I don't. Be happy.
I know.
Be
but
happy
I'm just saying,
there.
He might extend it, but for now it's only 6 months.
Yeah, I know. But at some point, dude, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
It's like he's freaking Peter Pan here. Just stay fit, play football, and keep your eyes on the 2026 World Cup and have the opportunity to write one of the greatest stories ever if you can lead Brazil to victory like you were supposed to do in the past. And it's not his fault people put so much hype on him.
No, true.
But at this stage, he's got to take control. He has no financial worries.
Yeah.
Find the right place for you to grow, to be competitive. Maybe it is Santos. I think it is. I mean, you've gone on about it enough times and you left when you were very young. And now just go and make it happen.